Country legend Ronnie Dunn has just shattered decades of silence with a confession that will change everything you thought you knew about Brooks and Dunn. After giving us Neon Moon, he sat alone, questioning if anyone wanted to hear his voice without his famous partner. The camera caught him walking off stage, mid-song, tapping his heart, looking broken. What destroyed country music's biggest duo? Could the truth about their split be more shocking than anyone imagined? Join us as Ronnie Dunn tells it all at 71. Disturbing health scare. The lights were blinding inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis that Thursday night. Brooks and Dunn had just kicked off their set, and the crowd, all 20,000 of them, were already fired up, singing every word of Scootin Boogie like it was 1992 all over again. Kix Brooks was doing his thing on one side of the stage, guitar in hand, feeding off the energy like a pro. But then, something felt off. Ronnie Dunn was front and center, gripping the mic with both hands. Same voice, same grit that could make you cry during Neon Moon or lift your soul with My Maria. But as the song hit its peak, something changed. He slowed down. His movements got heavy. The guy who'd spent years owning the stage just didn't seem like himself under those massive lights. The bassist noticed first, just a tiny shake of Ronnie's head. The crowd missed it, but the band didn't. They've been through it all together. Long tours, bad nights, sickness, exhaustion. But this wasn't just being tired, it felt different. Somewhere in the crowd, radio host Matt Malone was recording on his phone. He caught it, that quiet gut punch moment before everything changed. Ronnie looked toward his bandmates. No words, just a look. The kind that only makes sense when you've played 1,000 shows together. The audience kept singing, clapping, and having a great time. No one realized they were watching a moment that was going to blow up online just a few hours later. Then Ronnie started walking slowly toward the front of the stage. You could tell he didn't want to, like this wasn't part of the plan. But he got to the edge, looked out at the sea of fans, and did something that hit harder than any note he's ever sung. He held out his arms, not in that "thank you, good night" kind of way. It was softer, like he was saying thanks and goodbye at the same time. He tapped his chest, right over his heart, and waved. That's when the murmur started. People were like, "Wait, what's going on?" And then he walked off stage, just like that. Kix and the rest of the band kept playing, but it was clear something big had just happened. Backstage, it was chaos. Nobody really knew what was going on yet, and the crowd were still trying to make sense of it all. Malone posted the video the next day, just a short clip, captioned, "Feel better, Ronnie." And man, it took off. Thousands of likes, shares, and comments. People were worried. The comments were full of folks saying how Ronnie's music helped them through breakups, deployments, and tough years. For a lot of people, this wasn't just a concert moment. It was personal. Speculation went wild. Was he sick or just exhausted? Or was it something more serious? Country music forums were lit up. These weren't just fans. These were people who had grown up with Brooks and Dunn on the radio, at their weddings, in their old pickup trucks. Ronnie and Kix weren't just famous. They were familiar. By the start of a new week, the official word came in. A spokesperson said Ronnie wasn't feeling well from being sick during the encore. That was it. No drama, no details, just a short line to calm the storm. It helped in a way, but people wanted more. When you've followed someone for 30, 40 years, you want to know they're okay. Especially someone like Ronnie, who's never been the kind to bail mid-show. The real moment of truth came Saturday at the next stop on the tour, Rosemont, Illinois. Everyone was asking the same thing. Would he show up? He did. And not just show up. He crushed it. Same fire, same voice, same everything. The man's 71, and he still knows how to light up an arena. That night proved that whatever happened in Indy, it wasn't the end. Still, the whole thing stuck with people. It was like watching your dad or your favorite uncle admit he just couldn't keep going for a moment. It was human and kind of heartbreaking, but also kind of powerful, because he came back, finished the tour, and kept going. That's the part fans will remember too, not just the stumble, but the comeback. There were 3 more shows left on the New Moon Tour after that. 3 more chances to show that, yeah, time might slow you down, but it doesn't erase what made you great in the first place. But the real story started long before the fame, back when it was just 2 guys chasing a sound, not a spotlight. How did 2 separate paths end up creating one of country music's most iconic duos? 20 years of domination. When Brand New Man dropped in June 1991, it kind of turned Nashville upside down. Nobody really saw it coming. Radio folks, who were used to the usual country sound, suddenly had to hustle to keep up because people were eating this new thing up. The song just kept climbing and climbing until it hit number 1. And honestly, that set the tone for everything that came after. But the real shocker was what happened next. My Next Broken Heart shot up to number 1 too, then Neon Moon. And after that, Scootin Boogie wrapped up the whole streak. 4 number 1 hits from a debut album. That had never happened before, not for any duo in country music, ever. It was so wild that even seasoned industry folks were like, okay, is this serious talent or just some kind of freak lightning strike? And Scootin Boogie didn't just live on the radio, it took over dance floors. Suddenly, you had people all over the country doing line dances in perfect sync, like it was second nature. The song even cracked the Billboard Hot 100 and got non-country fans paying attention. Dance studios from Texas to New York were slammed with people wanting to learn the moves. It was everywhere. At the heart of all this were 2 guys who couldn't have been more different, and that's what made it work. Ronnie was the quiet type, super intense, with a voice that hit you in the chest. And then there was Kix, just full of energy, completely owning the stage. Together, it was magic, like somehow they balanced each other out in the best way. Their first album ended up selling 6 million copies, and that was just the start. Album 2, Hard Workin' Man, was another hit factory. More number 1s, more radio love. Then in 1994, they grabbed a Grammy for Best Country Performance by a duo or group. At that point, it was clear these guys weren't just popular, they were the real deal. By 1996, they'd pulled off something no one thought was even possible. They won the CMA's Entertainer of the Year award. First duo to ever do it. That award usually went to solo stars with massive stage presence, but Brooks and Dunn showed the world that a duo could bring just as much firepower. Then came My Maria, a cover of a 1972 B.W. Stevenson song. It held the number 1 spot for 3 weeks and was the top country song of 1996. Even Ronnie had doubts about doing a cover, but man, were they glad they did. It even crept onto the pop charts and brought in a whole new wave of fans. At this point, winning Duo of the Year was just expected. Between 1992 and 2006, they snagged the award every single year except one, 2000, when Montgomery Gentry briefly took the spotlight. But otherwise, was total domination. And not just because they were popular, every album kept showing off their range and growth. Their live shows were absolutely massive. We're talking stadiums packed with 50,000 people. Pyrotechnics lighting up the night. Stage setups that looked more like rock concerts than your typical country show. They didn't just show up to play, they made a whole experience out of it. Some of their songs even turned into full-blown American anthems. Only in America was it used in presidential campaigns by both Bush and Obama, which tells you a lot. It had that kind of hopeful vibe that just worked, no matter who you were or what you believed in. And they didn't just make music, they gave back, big time. Kix was a huge supporter of charities, especially anything related to kids and music education. In 2015, he got the first ever CMA Foundation Humanitarian Award for all the work he'd done. His Keep the Music Playing program had pumped over $11 million into Tennessee schools by then. Ronnie had his way of giving back, too. His Rock the Barn concerts, held right at his home near Nashville, raised a ton of money for places like Gilda's Club and the St. Thomas Breast Cancer Center. It wasn't just a party. It made a real difference. Their albums, almost all of them, went platinum or more. Brand New Man hit 6 times platinum. Hard Workin' Man wasn't far behind with 5. Even their greatest hits albums flew off shelves and helped introduce a whole new wave of listeners to their stuff. So when they announced they were calling it quits in 2009, it felt like the end of an era. By then, they'd racked up 20 #1 hits, 2 Grammys, and more awards than anyone could count. No other duo in country music had ever done what they did, and honestly, it's hard to imagine anyone ever topping it. But it wasn't just about the numbers. They created a style and sound that set the bar for everyone who came after. They showed the whole industry what a country duo could be, and a lot of folks are still following that blueprint today. He'd just gotten buried under all the noise and expectations. Once all that stuff was stripped away, what was left was real. Just a guy with a guitar and something honest to say. And that is where the music lives. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out another interesting video by clicking on the video shown on your screen. See you on the other side.